Hello everyone and welcome back. I get a lot of questions out there about cleaning my handguns and how often should I do it. And I thought I would address this using my competition open gun here. And a competition open gun is kind of like an Indy car. It's made for a particular purpose and it does that purpose really well. But it's not something you want to use on a regular basis to get around. And in other words, you don't want to use a competition open gun for daily use, daily carry. Obviously it's too big and they can be finicky. The tolerances on these open guns are much tighter than say a Glock or some other kind of service pistol. So they're more susceptible to getting dirt and debris inside and causing malfunctions. So that being said, I like to clean mine pretty often. But during the matches, in particular the double tap match, which was a multi-day match up in Wichita Falls, Texas, the surroundings, the environment there was very dusty, very windy, and when I was not using my gun, I actually used a dust cover on top of it. And there's multiple places that sell these dust covers. They're pretty cheap. A lot of people were using the shower caps from the hotels that they stayed in, or you can just use a washcloth and put it over your gun. Anything to keep that dust from getting inside your gun and causing it to malfunction on you. But being a multi-day match like the double tap was, each day, well, it was 2 days. So after my first day of shooting, when I went back to the hotel, I went ahead and cleaned my gun. And granted, only shot maybe 125 rounds in that first day, so the gun really wasn't that dirty. But given the environment of the dust and everything, and plus I wanted to make sure my gun functioned properly for the entire match, I went ahead and cleaned it. A lot of the competitors don't do that, and that's a risk they take. But me, I don't like to take that risk, especially since I traveled so far, rented hotel and whatnot. But anyways, once you get down to the gun to clean it, especially in the hotel environment, actually for pretty much most of the time that I clean my guns, even the competition guns like this, I do bare minimum. Unless I'm going to do a thorough cleansing, that's when I remove all the parts and the internals and actually clean every single thing. But in this case here, I'm going to demonstrate the basic cleaning that I do for most of my handguns. Now, the open gun, in order to take it apart, it's got this full-length guide rod and it's very hard. It's not like your traditional lug to where you can turn it and the slide comes off. Plus you got this scope mount in your way. So what we do is on the recoil guide rod here, there's a hole drilled in it. Now most people like to take a paper clip, cut it and bend it. And what they do is they take this paper clip and they set it right there in that hole. And then you have to precariously balance it like so on top of the guide rod and then release your slide stop. And what that does is it keeps your slide there, or the guide rod and spring locked into place, and now you can slide the slide release out, or the slide stop out, and then take the gun down. These things are I got a ton of these laying around. They're in my shooting bag, whatever, because you end up losing them. They fall out. So I found another little gizmo from CED. It's called a reverse plug retention clip. So we'll lock it open like this, and essentially it's another wire, but it's specially made to slip over the guide rod, which holds itself in place a little bit better than just the paper clip. So let's see if I can get my camera on that. Put it right in the hole like so. Holds it a lot nicer. Release the tension from the slide stop. Line up your hole just like your 1911 on the side there and push that out. So we take that out. And now the slide comes right off. So we'll take our frame and our scope, set that off to the side, and then we take this part right here. Notice the spring is under tension right now. Getting this out can be a little hairy sometimes. That one came out pretty easy that time. But anyways, I'll take this just like it is. I usually don't even remove my pin while it's there. I'll just kind of wipe it down, get most of the dirt and grime off of it, just with a typical shop rag. Set that aside. Then I'll take the barrel out, and this gun has not been cleaned since the double tap. So as you can see, I probably put around 150 rounds on day 2 on this, and just it's really not that bad. Keeping the gun covered is a big help at these matches. You know, even if I was running a Glock, I would still cover my gun. there's no point in taking that extra risk of getting something inside the gun. At this point, I would take a bore snake and run it through there and just kind of clean it up real good. If I was doing a thorough cleaning on this, I would use the powder solvent, the patches and everything else, and a wire brush and just clean out everything. But you know, I'm gonna go take this out and shoot it again here in a couple of days, so I don't see the point. But if it long-term storage, I would definitely clean this thing and then put it away. So then once we get to the slide, I just take my rag. And especially after, you know, during a match, when you're tired, it's, you know, you've been in the sun all day, the last thing you really want to do is clean your gun. But I just wipe out the rails in here and get a lot of dirt out like that. And then just kind of wipe out as much as you can with the rag. You notice I'm not even using any solvent. You know, it's clearly I'm just wiping it out. So we get that nice and clean, and that's relative word, remember, relative term here. I'll go and wipe that down too. And then I'll take the slide. Be careful not to drop the hammer. It's not good for it when there's no slide on top. And I'll wipe down the rails inside the scope mount. I check my scope mount, make sure my screws are still nice and tight. Sometimes they'll back up on you or back out on you. And then we're ready to put it together. So let me get some oil. Okay, so I'm going to just use my Purple Haze gun lube. I love these little bottles. These bottles are perfect for your range bag and fitting in the grips or your furniture of your AR-15. They're smaller than the CR-123 battery, so they fit in real nice. But I'm going to use just a little bit of that on the slide here, a little bit there, or the rails for the slide rather. And then take my slide, fill up those rails right there. Drop some in where the barrel lugs lock up. And then on my barrel, put a little bit right there. So now we're ready to put my barrel back in the slide. I'm going to turn the lug downward like so. Slide that in. We'll take our reverse plug under tension still, and you'll notice the back here is beveled, so we want that downward. So that's how we're going to put that in. And then upside down is the way I usually do it. Put my slide back on. You notice the dripping of the oil. I like to put a lot of oil on my guns. Somebody once said, man, if you don't get oil slung on your face, you don't have enough on the gun. Yes, it may attract dirt, but you know, as long as you wipe your gun down and try to keep it as clean as possible when you're not using it. Oh, not shooting it rather. Okay, so now we've got my slide stop in place. We're ready to remove the barrel plug, so the reverse plug, so I'm going to pull it back and lock the slide back, and then you can just reach up here and turn that out, and there we go. So here's the reverse retention clip, and those are about $4 or $5 from CED, Competition Edge Dynamics. You'll notice here in the back, you can tell that it wasn't perfectly sterile, if you will, because you can see some of the grime come out with the oil. So I'll rack the slide a few times and just kind of wipe any excess oil off right there. And now I can throw that in my range bag and I'm ready to shoot day 2 of the match. Well, anyways, that's the quick and dirty for cleaning handguns, at least the way I do it. And the reverse plug retention clip. If you're still using the paper clip method down here, you might want to look into something like this for the price. I mean, it's only $5 for a piece of wire. I guess it is kind of expensive, but it's nice. It stays in place a whole lot more than this. But anyways, thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more competition shooting and gun reviews.